I believe that America is the only country in the world that like condemns kids to die in prison. Like, they're the only one who sentenced kids, 15-year-olds, to go to jail for the rest of their life.
The good news is I think the tide has turned. In the mid-90s, we were a country facing a crisis. We thought the best way to deal with the crisis would be to punish, and punish severely. We now have realized that that strategy didn't work, and everyone can agree that it's time to reform the system.
And what restorative justice recognizes is that when people harm other people, they typically do so because they themselves were harmed. Whether this came through childhood abuse or neglect or extreme poverty, what if we take that into account and address those needs when moving forward? It doesn't mean they're not accountable for what they did. It's not an excuse, but it's looking at our society as a whole as trends of poverty and neglect and abuse, and recognizing the ways that intersecting with those social problems can help prevent future crime.
My name is Alton Pitre. I'm 24 years old. I'm from Los Angeles, South Central LA, specifically in the neighborhood known as the Jungles. The Jungles is known for its gang reputation, its poverty-stricken and gang-ridden neighborhood. And so I grew up in this environment. I was raised by my grandmother, and so as a youth I got involved in the streets and in the local gang. And so I was affiliated with them, so I would always get stopped by police just for gang ejection, for being with my friends. Like, we would go to jail just for being together. And so I eventually got locked up for a robbery, which I didn't commit. I was locked up for 2 years. My last juvenile court date, I declined a plea bargain of a year and a strike, and I was sent to adult court where I faced 46 years to life. But that was the risk I was willing to take for my freedom. But it was actually a good thing because in adult court they dropped my case within 3 days. And so here I am now, 5 years later. I'm at Morehouse College.
One thing that we do know is that oftentimes, especially from a juvenile perspective, if it's a person that isn't really a criminal and doesn't really have a criminal mind, and then you put that person into a detention place wherein there are criminals, then a lot of times what happens is that we are teaching these young people who aren't criminals how to be criminals. And so when they do leave the detention facility, they have these skills that we really don't want them to have as it relates to criminality. And so, you put yourself in a worse off place than what you were. So wouldn't it be easier if we could find a place where we could deal with the root of the problem and not have that person be introduced to this criminal element? So absolutely, I think that more therapeutic centers, more programs to deal with root problems, how to deal with various stressors, how to deal with addiction and other types of disorders that people are struggling with, could help with not putting people in detention centers and not really getting the treatment that they need.
I think it's very important to offer the men and women in prison opportunities for further education, because the truth is, once we lock them up, they don't stay locked up. They're going to be returning to our neighborhoods, and if we haven't given them opportunities for further education, the likelihood of them repeating past mistakes is high.
My hope is that in the United States, as it has in Canada and Australia and some European countries, that we will turn to restorative justice as a model for a way to integrate both rehabilitation and a different perspective on why we punish in the first place.